The forest was alive with strange sounds, yet it felt heavy with silence. Glowing plants spread soft green light on the ground. Tall trees reached high like black towers, and shadows moved between the branches. The night smelled of damp earth. And wild creatures. She was there, high above. An alien huntress, her skin dark like bark, her eyes sharp like the edge of a blade. She moved from branch to branch with the silence of a ghost. She believed she was invisible. She believed she was the master of this land. Tonight she was not only hunting food, she was hunting glory. Her target was a human. A man who walked calmly under the trees. He carried only a simple pack on his back, no visible weapon in his hands. He did not rush. He did not hide. He just walked as if he owned the forest. She tilted her head, confused. He should have been afraid. He should have run, but he did not. The huntress felt excitement grow in her chest. Her clan always spoke about humans. They said humans were weak, soft, and easy to break. They said a human's blood was quick to spill, and their bones cracked like dry twigs. Killing one was no honor, but bringing one home alive could earn respect. She wanted that respect. The man stopped near a glowing tree. He placed his hand gently on the trunk, as if greeting it. His lips moved. Maybe whispering something, maybe just breathing. Then he picked up a small stone and threw it into the dark. The sound echoed, and the huntress froze. Had he heard her? Was he testing her? She crouched lower, pressing herself into the branch. She thought her camouflage was perfect, her skin blending with the bark, her breath slow and hidden. She watched the man carefully. His movements were not random. He bent down, touched the soil, placed something shiny, then moved on. Trap. She realized he was setting traps. But why would prey set traps? Her heart beat faster. She wanted to strike now, end this strange game. Her spear was ready, long and sharp, its crystal tip shining faintly under the alien moon. She lifted it slowly, her muscles tense. But then the man did something unexpected. He whistled, a low sound, almost like a song, and the forest seemed to answer. A bird gave a call. Vines rustled. She felt a chill. No, she told herself, he does not know. He cannot know. She was the hunter. She was the shadow in the trees. She was death waiting to fall. She remembered her training. One leap, one strike, silence after. Humans were simple. This human was no different. Yet her eyes betrayed her. She kept staring at his face. It was calm, too calm, not like prey, not even like a warrior. It was like he already knew how this night would end. The thought made her chest tighten. She shook her head. Her clan would laugh at such fear. She pushed it aside. The man adjusted the strap of his pack and kept walking. His boots made no sound. His path was straight. He did not look back, but once, just once, he tilted his head up toward the trees. And for a moment, their eyes met. The huntress almost dropped her spear. Her heart froze. His gaze was not one of fear, not one of surprise. It was steady, sharp, and cold. Like the gaze of a predator, she pulled herself back into the shadows, breathing fast. She whispered in her mind, how could he see me? The forest grew quieter. As if holding its breath, the insects stopped singing. The night birds stayed silent. Even the leaves did not move. The silence pressed on her ears. Heavy and strange, the man kept walking, but his calm steps now sounded like warnings. Each one told her something. Told her she was not the one in control. Told her she was not the hunter tonight. Still, she would not stop. She could not stop. Her pride demanded victory. Her clan demanded proof. She would strike, and she would win. She gripped her spear tighter, crouched lower, her muscles ready to explode. Above, the branches creaked under her weight. Below, the man slowed. He touched the ground again, his hand brushing over the soil as if he could read it. Then he smiled, a small, quiet smile. The huntress felt heat in her chest. Anger mixed with fear. That smile was not of prey. It was not of weakness. It was the smile of someone who already knew. And in that moment, as the moonlight cut through the forest and painted silver lines on the ground, she understood something dangerous, The forest was not silent because of her. The forest was silent because of him. The huntress moved silently along the branches, her eyes never leaving the human below. Every step was measured, every breath was controlled. She had hunted beasts larger than this man, creatures with teeth like knives and hides thick as stone, yet none had made her feel this strange unease. Her clan had taught her since childhood, you must own the shadows, you must control the silence, and the prey will never see you. She whispered those words to herself now, reminding her of who she was, reminding herself that this man was nothing more than flesh waiting to be claimed. Still, that scratched at the edges of her mind. The way he walked was wrong. No fear in his shoulders, no tension in his steps. Prey always looked behind. Prey always flinched at the smallest sound. But this human moved as if he belonged here, as if the forest itself welcomed him. He stopped at a tree whose roots twisted like snakes across the ground. He knelt and brushed his fingers over the soil. His lips moved in silent words. She tilted her head, confused. Was he praying? Was he speaking to spirits? Then he pressed a small piece of metal into the ground, sharp-edged, hidden among the roots. A trap. Her chest tightened. She knew traps well. Her people used them to hunt giant beasts. But this was strange. Humans were not hunters in her stories. They were weak scavengers who stole scraps left by true predators. Yet here he was, setting the ground with hidden snares as if preparing for a larger kill. The huntress adjusted her grip on the spear, the crystal tip glowing faintly, her claws dug into the bark, her body tense. She could end this now with a clean strike. The man's back was open, his neck exposed. All she needed was one leap, one breath, one kill. But she did not leap. Something held her still. It was his face, calm and unreadable, his eyes scanning the ground with patience. No sign of fear, no sign of weakness. She remembered the way he had looked up, the way his eyes had pierced the darkness as if he had seen her. Anger flared inside her. No human should make her hesitate. No prey should cause her heart to pound. Like this, she forced the fear away and began to stalk again, moving faster now, her body a shadow flowing above the forest floor. The human walked on, placing stones, bending vines, setting traps that looked simple but deadly. He seemed to know the forest better than she did. Each step he took was careful, deliberate, as if he had walked this path many times. The huntress tried to circle ahead of him, leaping from one tree to the next, her claws barely touching the branches. She moved like a whisper, faster, closer, until she was right above his path. She crouched low, her spear ready, her heart pounding with hunger and rage. She watched him pause again, this time at a pool of water glowing faintly in the moonlight. He crouched beside it, staring at his reflection, his face calm, his hand trailing through the water. She narrowed her eyes, ready to strike. But then he spoke, his voice low, steady, like the sound of a river. I know you are there. The words cut through the silence like a blade. Her body froze, every muscle locked. She stared down at him, shock in her eyes. How could he know she had been silent? Unseen, perfect in her hunt, the man did not turn his head. He did not look up. He simply dipped his hand in the pool and let the water fall through his fingers, his voice calm again. I can feel your eyes on me, your breath in the leaves. The forest is quieter than usual. You silence it when you move. That is how I found you. The huntress's mouth went dry. Her clan had said humans were blind in the dark, clumsy in the wild. But this one had tracked her without seeing, without hearing. He had felt her. Her pride burned. She wanted to scream, but she swallowed it down. No, she would not lose. Not here, not to him. She tightened her grip on the spear and leapt. The forest exploded in motion, branches snapping, leaves tearing, her body cutting through the air like an arrow. The spear gleamed in the moonlight, aimed straight at his chest. But the man moved, not fast, not in panic, but with simple precision. He stepped aside, his body turning just enough. The spear missed him by inches and struck the earth, the tip burying deep. The huntress landed with a growl. her claws scraping the dirt, her weapon stuck in the ground. The man looked at her now, his eyes meeting hers, steady and calm. For the first time in her life, the huntress felt like prey. The spear quivered in the earth, its crystal tip glowing faintly as if mocking her failure. The huntress pulled hard, but the ground held it tight. The human stood only a few steps away, calm, steady, his eyes never leaving hers. He did not raise a weapon. He did not show fear. Instead, he tilted his head, almost curious, as if studying her like one might study a strange beast. The silence stretched, broken only by her heavy breath. Her pride screamed inside her. She was the predator, hunter of the trees. Never had she missed. Never had prey slipped her strike. Yet this human had stepped aside as if he had known where she would land. Her claws tightened around the spear shaft, and with one violent pull she tore it free, soil flying. She crouched low, ready to strike again. But he spoke first, his voice quiet and steady. You attack with strength, but you announce yourself with rage. The words cut deeper than claws. Her chest burned with humiliation. She hissed through her teeth and leapt again. This time faster, sharper, she twisted in the air, spear angled not for his chest but for his legs. She would cripple him. She would taste victory. The human moved again, not wildly, not with fear. He simply bent his knee and shifted. The spear sliced past, cutting only fabric. His pack fell to the ground, yet his body remained unharmed. He turned with the grace of water, and his hand touched her arm as she passed. A light touch, but controlled, enough to spin her off balance. She hit the ground with a snarl, rolling to her feet, her heart hammering. How? How could prey do this? Her clan's words echoed in her mind. Humans are weak, humans are clumsy. Humans are nothing. But this one fought with no weapon. And already she had failed twice. The man's eyes narrowed, his lips forming the smallest smile. It was not joy. It was not cruelty. It was certainty. He knew something she did not, and that thought filled her with both fear and fury. The huntress roared and struck again, faster than before, her spear slicing left, then right. Each strike meant to kill, each movement fueled by desperation. The air cracked with the speed of her weapon, but he dodged each one, not with panic, but with patience. Each step placed with calm, each movement just enough to avoid her blade. She lunged high, aiming for his head, and for the first time he moved forward, his hand catching the shaft of her spear mid-swing, his grip iron, his eyes burning steady into hers. Her breath caught. She pulled with all her strength, but his hand did not move. Her arms trembled, muscles straining. She could not believe it. This fragile human held her weapon as if it were nothing. With a twist he released the spear, sending her stumbling back. She almost fell, but caught herself, her chest rising and falling with wild breath. The human did not chase. He only stood, his voice low again. Strength is nothing without patience, she snarled, shame flooding her veins. Never had anyone spoken to her like this. Never had prey dared to lecture her. Her vision blurred with rage. Yet deep inside, a shadow of doubt grew, a voice whispering that maybe he was not prey at all. The forest itself seemed to shift around them. The glowing plants dimmed. The creatures stayed hidden. The silence of the night thickened, as if the world was waiting for the outcome of this duel. She raised her spear once more, her body shaking with both rage and fear. Her pride demanded she kill him. Her heart demanded she survive. The human stepped forward, one calm step at a time, his gaze unbroken, his movements slow, measured. Like a predator closing on its meal, the huntress's grip faltered, her claws slipping slightly on the shaft. For the first time in her life, her hands trembled. She hissed to herself, "No, I am the hunter. I am the shadow. I cannot be prey." But the words rang hollow in the silence. The human stopped only a breath away, the moonlight outlining his form. He did not strike. He only looked into her eyes and said, "The first move decides nothing. It is what follows that matters." Her chest rose and fell. her heart pounding so loud she could hear nothing else. And for the first time, she did not know if she would survive the night. The forest air felt heavier now, thick with tension. The huntress gripped her spear tighter, her claws digging into the wood. Her body shook with both rage and confusion. Never had prey escaped her twice. Never had prey spoken to her with such calm. The human stood only a few steps away, his eyes steady, his breath controlled. He did not lunge, he did not panic, he simply waited, as if he knew what she would do next. The waiting was worse than an attack. It made her chest burn with shame. Her clan's voice screamed in her head. "Do not hesitate. Strike again. Prove yourself. Prove you are hunter." She leapt forward once more, her spear flashing in the moonlight, the strike sharp and precise. This time she aimed not for his body, but for his escape path. She wanted to corner him, break his rhythm, force him into fear. The man moved aside with the same patience as before, his steps smooth, almost gentle. Her weapon missed, but this time he did not let the moment pass. He touched the ground with his hand, brushing the soil as he stepped back. The huntress snarled and lunged again, but the earth betrayed her. Vines hidden in the soil whipped up, tightening around her legs. They coiled like snakes, pulling her to the ground. She gasped and tried to leap free, but the vines had been placed perfectly. The more she struggled, the tighter they pulled. Her heart raced, her mind spun. She realized too late. The human had prepared this. Every stone, every vine, every step he took earlier had not been random. It had been a trap, and she had walked into it. She crashed onto her side, the spear falling from her grip. She clawed at the vines with fury, her sharp nails slicing, but the plants were tough, stronger than she expected. Every pull only tangled her deeper. She roared in anger, the sound shaking the branches. The man stood a short distance away, his calm face lit by the pale glow of the forest. He did not laugh, he did not taunt, he only watched her struggle. His silence was sharper than words. Her pride screamed louder than the vines that bound her. She was the hunter, she was never prey, yet here she was, trapped like a beast, caught in her own arrogance. Her breaths came fast and harsh, her chest rising with fury and fear. Finally she shouted, her voice breaking, "Fight me! Do not hide behind tricks, face me with claws and steel." The man's eyes narrowed, his voice calm. A hunter uses more than claws and steel. A hunter uses patience and knowledge and the world itself. His words felt like another trap, invisible but tight around her pride. She bared her teeth and pulled harder. But the vines did not break. The forest itself seemed against her. The man stepped closer now, his boots silent on the soil. The glow of the plants made his shadow stretch long. He stood above her, his face unreadable. She hissed up at him, ready to strike if given a chance. Her claws flexed, her eyes burning with defiance. But he only crouched near her, his gaze firm. "You thought you were hunting me, but you never realized you were walking into my hunt." The words sank into her like ice. She tried to deny them, tried to reject them. But deep inside she knew it was true. She had thought she was the predator. But from the moment she followed him, she had been walking where he wanted, moving how he wanted. She snarled again. But it was weaker this time, more desperate than fierce. She hated the way his calmness swallowed her rage. She hated the way his silence felt heavier than her roar. The man reached to the vines, and with a sharp twist of his knife, he cut them loose. She gasped in surprise, falling free. She scrambled to her feet, spear back in her grip, but he did not raise a weapon. He only looked at her, his voice calm again. "Now you understand." The huntress trembled, her body tense, her pride torn. She wanted to strike again. But her legs shook with the memory of the vines. Her mind replayed his words, his patience, his traps. She could not deny it anymore. He was not prey. For the first time she stood still, her spear lowered slightly, her breath ragged, her eyes filled with something she had never known before, doubt. The forest remained silent, as if even the night itself knew the roles had changed. The huntress stood trembling, her spear gripped tight but her strength fading. The vines had left marks on her legs, red lines that burned with shame more than pain. She could still feel their pull, the memory of being trapped like an animal. Her chest rose and fell in sharp breaths, her pride trying to rise, her fear trying to drown it. The human watched her silently, his calm eyes fixed on hers, no mockery, no cruelty. Only the heavy weight of knowing she hated that look. It made her feel smaller than she had ever felt. Finally he spoke, his voice low and steady. "You came thinking I was prey," he said, "but you never asked why I walked calmly in the dark. You never asked why the forest fell silent when I entered it." The huntress hissed, baring her teeth. "You tricked me. You used traps. You hide behind the forest like a coward." Her words dripped with venom, but they sounded weak, even to her own ears. The man tilted his head, his gaze sharp. "No, I did not trick you. I understood you. Every beast, every hunter, every shadow leaves a mark. The forest told me you were here. The silence told me you were near. The trees, the air, even your heartbeat. They speak to those who listen." Her mouth went dry. She thought of her clan's lessons, how they mocked humans as blind creatures stumbling through the dark. Yet this one read the forest better than she ever had. He stepped closer, and for the first time she stepped back, her foot brushing over the soil, her eyes wide. She could not stop herself. Her body moved as if it already accepted what her pride refused. The man's voice carried again, quiet but heavy. "I have hunted before. Not just beasts, not just men, but things older, things deadlier, creatures your kind would run from without looking back. Compared to them, you are loud, predictable. Easy." The words struck her like a blow. She clenched her spear tighter, her claws digging into the wood. Rage rose inside her, but it was hollow. She wanted to deny his words, but her trembling hands betrayed her. For the first time in her life, she felt fear, true fear, not of death, but of knowing she was wrong, of knowing she had been blind. Her clan's words rang false now. "Humans are weak. Humans are prey." "No, not this one. Not tonight." Her voice cracked as she forced the words out. "Why spare me then? If you are the hunter, why not finish me here?" The man's eyes softened slightly, but his tone stayed firm. "Because death teaches nothing. Survival teaches more. You will return to your people, and they will ask why. You failed, and you will remember this night. You will remember that humans are not prey." The huntress's stomach twisted. She wanted to roar. She wanted to strike. But the weight of his words pressed down on her shoulders, heavier than chains. Her clan would mock her if she returned empty. They would laugh at her failure, but deep inside, she knew their laughter would be hollow too. She lowered her spear. Slowly, her arms weak, her pride bleeding, her voice little more than a whisper. "You should not exist. You should not be like this." The man stood tall in the moonlight, the forest quiet around him, his shadow stretching long across the earth. "And yet here I am," he said. The huntress felt her throat tighten. She looked at him one last time, her chest filled with a storm of rage, shame, and something else she could not name, respect maybe, or fear. She turned and leapt back into the trees, her movements fast but not proud. As she vanished into the darkness, the forest slowly breathed again. The insects began their song. The leaves rustled. The silence lifted. The man watched her go, his eyes still calm, his hand resting on the bark of the nearest tree. He whispered softly, almost to himself. She thought she was the hunter, but she was never the one in control. And the forest seemed to agree, its shadows folding back into place, its voice alive once more. Asterisk. The huntress leapt through the branches. But her speed was not the same. Her heart carried the weight of failure. Every branch creaked louder beneath her feet. Every shadow felt sharper. The forest no longer welcomed her. It whispered of her shame. Below, the human still walked calmly, his steps even, his head held steady, as if nothing had happened, as if trapping her, sparing her, and teaching her a lesson were no more than part of his breath. The huntress stopped high in the trees, crouched low, her body hidden by leaves. She could run back to her clan, she could escape with her life. But something in her chest twisted. Shame burned in her throat. She could not return like this. They would laugh, they would mock, they would say she never even faced him. Her claws dug into the bark. She told herself this was not over. She would strike again. She would prove herself. Yet when she looked down at him, calm and steady as the moon, her hands trembled. The man paused near a wide clearing. The glow of the plants painted silver across the soil. He stood in the center and placed his pack down. He did not look up. But his voice carried. "You still follow." Her breath caught. She gritted her teeth. How could he sense her so easily? She had hidden well. She had moved like shadow, but he knew, always he knew. She bared her teeth, growling low. "I will not leave without your blood." The man looked at the sky, the faint stars above the trees, his voice calm. "Blood is simple, too simple. Choice is harder." The huntress tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. "Choice," she spat. "Prey has no choice." The man turned, his gaze toward the trees, his eyes finding hers even in the shadows, his words slow. "Then decide now. Are you the hunter who learns or the fool who dies?" The words pierced her pride. Her chest tightened. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Not her clan, not her enemies, certainly not Prey. Her whole life she believed strength was enough. But tonight strength had failed. Her mind screamed to leap, to silence him, to bury her spear in his flesh, but her body refused. Her muscles stiff, her heart heavy. Somewhere inside she knew the truth. Another attack would only end with her broken. She crouched on the branch, silent, torn between rage and fear. And in that silence she felt something strange, respect. She hated the word, she hated the feeling. But it was there, burning alongside. Her anger, the man stepped closer to the edge of the clearing, his shadow stretching long. "If you return to your people, tell them humans are not prey. Tell them we are not what they believe. Tell them to be careful." Her claws scraped against the wood. Her pride resisted. "Why let me go? Why not finish? Why give me mercy?" The man's voice was quiet but heavy. "Because killing you changes nothing, but letting you live may change everything." The words sank deep, and for a moment, the huntress saw beyond the night, beyond the trees. She saw the war her clan dreamed of, the countless hunts they boasted about. She saw them charging against humans with laughter, but now she wondered, would they laugh when the humans did not fall? Her chest ached with the weight of the thought. She did not want to believe it, but she could not erase what her eyes had seen. Slowly she lowered her spear, her claws relaxing, her voice low, almost broken. "You shame me, human." The man shook his head. "No, I gave you a chance. What you do with it is your choice." Her breath trembled. She wanted to roar, but instead she leapt away into the shadows, her body moving with speed, not to strike, not to kill, but to leave. The forest accepted her departure. The vines stayed still. The branches let her pass. And when she glanced back once, the man still stood in the clearing, calm, steady, unshaken. For the first time, she knew what it felt like to be given a choice, not by her clan, not by herself, but by the one she had called Prey, and it frightened her more than any blade. The huntress ran through the forest, her body swift, but her heart heavy. The branches that once carried her with pride now felt like they judged her. The glowing plants lit her path, but they also reminded her of the clearing, the vines, the man who stood calm when she trembled. By the time she reached the edge of the jungle, dawn had begun to rise, pale light painting the horizon. Her clan's campfires flickered in the distance, smoke curling into the morning sky. She slowed her pace, her chest tight with dread. The clan greeted her with laughter at first. They saw her torn armor, the scratches on her skin, the anger in her eyes. One of the elders sneered. "Did the human fight you? Did the soft creature scratch you?" Another huntress smirked. "Did you toy with him too long and let him slip away?" Their words cut like knives, and once she would have answered, with pride or rage. But tonight her voice failed, her claws tightened at her side. Her eyes burned with something they could not understand. The elder stepped closer, his voice loud. "Where is his head? Where is his blood? Prove your hunt." The huntress lowered her gaze. Shame burning. "I did not take it," she whispered. The clan roared with laughter, the sound echoing across the camp. She failed. She could not slay prey. They jeered. She let weakness escape her claws. But she raised her head suddenly. Her eyes fierce though her body trembled. Her voice cracked but carried weight. "You are wrong," she said. "Humans are not prey." The laughter faltered. Silence spread like fire. The elder narrowed his eyes. "What nonsense do you speak?" Her voice grew stronger. Each word pulled from the memory of the night. "I struck him. He moved like shadow. I hunted him. But he had already set the hunt for me. The forest obeyed him. The silence bent to him. He trapped me without a fight, and when he could have ended me, he chose not to." The clan stared, some with disbelief, some with unease. Her words clashed with everything they believed, everything they had been taught. One warrior spat at the ground. "Lies, humans are fragile. I crushed one myself with my claws." But the huntress shook her head. "Maybe some, but not all, not him. And if one human can do this, then more will rise. And when they do, our clan will fall if we still call them prey." Her words stirred unease. No laughter now, no jeers, only silence. Heavy and sharp, the elder's face darkened, his pride fighting against her truth. "You were defeated. You speak fear, not wisdom." The huntress's chest tightened, but she forced the words out. "Fear can be wisdom. Pride will blind you. He showed me mercy, but he will not show mercy to all. He wanted me to bring back a message. And I bring it now. Humans are hunters, and if you treat them as prey, you will learn as I did." "In chains of vines and silence of shame," the clan murmured. The fire crackled. The elder turned away, unwilling to accept. But the seed of doubt had been planted that night, as the huntress sat alone. She stared at the forest's edge, her mind replaying his calm eyes, his steady words, the way he had let her live. Her pride still hurt, her shame still raw, but deep inside, she felt something new, a truth too sharp to ignore. Humans were different. They were dangerous not because of claws or strength, but because of patience, knowledge, and choice. And though her clan mocked her, though they laughed at her defeat, she knew they would remember her warning. They would remember the night one. Of their own returned broken, not by death, but by truth. Far away in the forest, the human walked under the rising sun. His steps steady, his shadow long. He did not know her clan's laughter. He did not hear their disbelief, but he did not need to. He knew the lesson had been planted, and one day, when humans and her kind met again, it would bloom. The huntress whispered into the dawn, "You thought me the hunter, but I was prey, and I will never forget." And in her heart, she knew her story was no longer her own. It was a warning, a legacy, carried in silence and shadow.